Welcome back, students. Today we will be looking at a lesson from Standard 9th History, Changing Life, Part 1. So far in this Standard 9th History, we have studied the period from the year 1961 to 2000. We have seen the several changes that have taken place in our life in India. The speed of change in the 20th century and the 21st centuries has been tremendous. Human life is changing rapidly. Things which we could not have even imagined earlier are now a part of reality. So, in today's lesson, we will be looking at the changes that have taken place in our society, the minor changes, the major changes, also the right to express our opinions against the government. Then we are going to be looking at the change that has taken place in the institution of family, public health facilities, urbanization, the changes that have taken place in the rural life, so rural development and electrification, and also the industrial development. So, as we know that human life is changing rapidly. In ancient and medieval periods, religion was an important part of a person's identity. Now, modernization has posed some challenges before all religions, be it Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, or Judaism. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar brought about a sea change in our traditional mindset. He brought it through the medium of our Indian Constitution. According to our Constitution, all Indians are equal before the law and they cannot be discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, caste, gender, or place of birth. All citizens have the right to freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, freedom to form associations, freedom to move, to live and settle down anywhere on Indian territory and to practice any occupation. Indian citizens living anywhere in India enjoy the right to nurture their language, script and culture. These provisions in the Constitution shook the foundations of the caste system. It helped to make the practice of vocations running in the family obsolete. That is, no longer were people forced to follow the same religion that their grandparents or their parents were following. People in India became free to choose whatever occupation they wanted. Change became the trend in every field of life. So, it is all thanks to the constitution makers who brought these changes, who thought about it and implemented this in our society. During the British era, there were 4 kinds of compartments in the railway train: the first, second, inter and third class. The first and the second class of course had plush seats and better facilities. However, the inter and the third class did not have them. Nominal facilities for passengers were given who were traveling by the third class, and a negative attitude towards them was almost a symbol of the Indian social hierarchy. However, in 1978 railway budget, Madhu Dandavate put an end to this third class. Later on, 2 trains were started which had no class divisions, namely the Sinhagad Express on the Mumbai-Pune route and Gitanjali Express on the Mumbai-Kolkata route. Thus began a series of minor and major changes in the society. Now, anyone can go into a restaurant irrespective of his religion, race, caste, or gender. In fact, We see boards outside the restaurants welcoming all. Another very significant change during the post-independence period is the right to express our opinions against the government. Earlier, there were limits on expressing any opinion against political rulers. Now, Indian citizens can register their protests against the policies of the government through newspapers, speeches, and other media. Let us look at what changes have taken place in the institution of family. During the pre-independence period, the institution of family was an important identifying feature of the Indian society. India was known all over the world as a country of joint families. We had grandparents, brothers, uncles, aunts, parents, children, all staying together under one roof. However, the wave of globalization has now given an impetus to the system of nuclear families. Today, we no longer see many joint families, but there is a growth in the number of nuclear families. Let us now see what changes happened in the society in terms of the welfare of the people. Well, first let us understand what is the meaning of a welfare state. A welfare state is a state or a government which works for the welfare of its citizens. It conducts programs to make opportunities for employment, education, etc. available to everyone. In this respect, India is the first country in the world to incorporate this idea of a welfare state in the constitution itself. The social welfare programs aim to make opportunities for full-time employment, health care, education and development available to all Indian citizens. Indian society is riddled with large-scale economic, social, educational and cultural inequalities. However, it is necessary that opportunities for development reach women, children, the differently abled, scheduled castes and tribes as well as the other minorities. This was the greatest challenge facing the government during the post-independence period. That is why on 14th June 1964, the Government of India constituted the Ministry of Social Welfare. Under this ministry, various programs are implemented for nutrition and child development, social security and social protection, women's welfare and development. A similar arrangement exists at the state level too. Scheduled castes and tribes. According to the 1971 census, 22% of people in India belong to the scheduled castes and tribes. Now, the scheduled castes and tribes were that group of people who had been from centuries marginalized and not given equal status in the Indian society. Hence, the government enacted laws so that the people belonging to these castes and tribes got equal opportunity and hence they were given educational scholarships and representation in the parliament as well as the state government. Some seats are also reserved for them in government services. Public health. The Constitution of India states that the primary duty of the government is to raise the people's standard of living, to ensure proper nutrition and to improve the public health. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare at the centre helps the state governments in this regard. To make primary health services as well as medical care available to the rural people, the tribals and the poor was an objective of the sixth five-year plan. Efforts were made towards helping people maintain good health by giving recognition to Unani, homeopathy, Ayurveda and naturopathy in addition to allopathy. Progress in the medical field has made the life of Indians relatively free of health concerns. In 1962, the first successful open heart surgery was performed under the leadership of Dr. N. Gopinath at Christian Medical College Hospital at Vellore in Tamil Nadu. Hence, it is no longer necessary to go abroad for such treatment. Similarly, the invention of the Jaipur foot has transformed the lives of the disabled in India. Before 1968, if a person lost a leg in an accident, he had to suffer for the rest of his life. In order to remedy the situation, Dr. Pramod Sethi designed and manufactured artificial limbs, noses, and ears with the help of the skilled craftsman Ramchandra Sharma. The artificial body parts manufactured with the help of Jaipur foot technology have made it easy for the differently abled to walk barefoot on rough surfaces, run, go cycling, work in the fields, climb trees, and even climb mountains, etc. They save on the expenses on shoes as there is no need for footwear on these artificial limbs. They can bend their legs at the knees and sit cross-legged. These feet are also convenient while working in water or wet conditions. The kidney transplant. Since this surgery can now be performed in India, doctors have succeeded in saving patients' lives. Such surgeries were not so common in India till 1971. But in 1971, it was successfully performed at the Christian Medical College Hospital at Vellore in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Johnny and Dr. Mohan Rao transplanted the kidney donated by a living person into the patient's body. Nowadays, patients from underdeveloped countries come to India for such surgeries. The test tube baby. Right from early times, having a baby is considered to be of utmost importance in the Indian family system. The support of test tube baby technology has been available to childless couples since 1978. It was under the supervision of Dr. Subhash Mukhopadhyay that the experiment of the test tube baby was successfully carried out at Kolkata. This was the first successful attempt at artificial conception. A girl named Durga was born. This technology helped to solve the problem of childless couples who wanted children. Immunization. Before 1978, every year 6 Indian infants out of every 10 who were born faced fatal health problems in the very first year of their birth. The immunization program was taken up to overcome the threat of polio, measles, tetanus, TB, diphtheria, and whooping cough. The pulse polio immunization program, started in 1995, has controlled polio. Urbanization. Urbanization is a process of the concentration of population in a city or an urban area. Increasing population is one of the major reasons for urbanization. A few other factors affecting urbanization are air, water, and the economic as well as social organizations necessary for community life. With regards to post-independence India, the increase in urban population is also due to factors such as reduction in mortality rate, that is the number of death rates going down, industrialization, unavailability of means of livelihood in rural areas, that is because of maybe low rainfall or other conditions, job opportunities in cities, and the resulting migration. To reduce the strain on cities, it is necessary to make job available in villages, achieve a balance in economic development, control the expansion of metros, and provide necessary services and facilities in both the urban as well as rural areas. Rural areas. A village or a rural area is a permanent settlement of farmers near the land they themselves tilled, either individually or collectively. Villages came into existence when farming began. Villages in India are thinly populated. A dense cluster of houses surrounded by farmland is a unique feature of the Indian village. A settlement smaller than even a village is called a hamlet. Compared to the urban community, the village community is very small. Villages are not uniform across India. There are differences based on regional and physical features. Let us now see the development of the villages in the post-independence period. Keeping in mind the goal of rural development, the collective development scheme came into force. Plans were made for improving farming technology, increasing the area of irrigated land, enacting laws for land reform, and extending educational facilities. It also aimed at increasing the agricultural produce as well as expanding the means of transport, health services, and scope for education in the rural areas. It was decided to give priority to economic development of the villages. The government undertook this work through the medium of the Gram Panchayats, which also included the people from all castes and tribes. To achieve this, the Gram Panchayat, the Panchayat Samitis, and the Zilla Parishads were given more power. Changing economic life. Earlier, every village was economically self-sufficient. A majority of the villagers were dependent on farming. Farm produce used to be distributed among the artisans and the craftsmen as payment for their work. Thus, what was called as the barter system existed during the early times. Now the situation has changed. Rural areas are engaged in agriculture and occupations which are associated with agriculture and farming, that is, the ancillary occupations. Whereas the urban society is entirely engaged in non-agricultural production and the service sector. Non-agricultural production means the production in the industries which are not related to agriculture, and service sector is the other service providers like doctors, nurses, and carpenters, everybody who is providing a service. Rural development, a comparison. In 1961, 82% of India's population resided in villages. In 1971, however, the percentage was 80.01%. Thus, we see a shift in the population from the villages towards the cities. So far, the rural area has shouldered the responsibility of providing food grains and other raw materials to urban areas, supplying labor to the industrial sectors of the cities, and taking care of the natural resources. However, there are three major challenges with reference to rural development, that is, bringing about economic development, developing facilities to meet the social needs, and finally, bringing about a change in the attitude in matters concerning the society, culture, and ways of thinking. However, it is equally necessary to expedite irrigation projects, that is, start and complete the irrigation projects, and also bring about land reforms. Social needs and facilities. It is necessary to give priority to facilities for public hygiene and health care. Even today, the rural population faces problems related to year-round provision of drinking water, toilets, open drainage, narrow roads, inadequate electrification, and lack of facilities for medical treatment. There is a lack of good quality educational facilities from primary level to higher education, centers for recreation and libraries. That is why it is necessary to give special attention to rural areas. The collective development scheme had an important place in all the first 4 5-year plans of the government of India. The state of Maharashtra registered remarkable achievements under this scheme. For example, Zilla Parishads were established in 1962. Nutritious diet scheme was launched in 1970-71. The state also started the Rural Water Supply Scheme for sinking wells and providing piped water. By 1971, 1,677 small dams had also been built. Rural electrification. Electricity is essential for the development of rural areas. Automatic pumps are needed to water the fields. Electricity is needed to preserve perishable food items such as milk, eggs, fruits and vegetables, to run fertilizer projects, and for fans and TV and for lights for studying at night. During the first 5-year plan, electricity had been provided to 3,000 villages in India. By 1973, it reached 1,38,646 villages. From 1966, it was decided to supply more electricity for pumps and bore wells. The Rural Electrification Corporation was established in 1969. The rural electrification cooperative societies came into being in the states of Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh. Industrial development. A village industries planning committee was formed to help the development of industries in the rural areas. By 1972, 1,06,000 persons got employment under this scheme. The government of Maharashtra has also started residential high schools known as the Vidya Niketans in Satara, Aurangabad, Nasik, and Chikaldhara. Their purpose is to provide the best quality education to intelligent and meritorious village students who are living in unfavorable conditions. As per the recommendations of the Kothari Commission, agricultural universities were started in Rahuri, Akola, Parbhani, and Dapoli in Maharashtra. In recognition of the work done in the field of education, UNESCO awarded the International Prize for Spread of Literacy to Maharashtra for the year 1972. With this, we come to the end of this lesson, students. I hope that you have understood the lesson well. Let us move on to the questions and answers. Let us now look at a few questions and answers from the lesson. Explain the following concept, the institution of family. For this answer, children, you can come to page 47 of your textbooks and you can write down as to what changes took place in the institution of family, that how the family system was during the pre-independence period and how it has changed in the post-independence period. So that changes you can write. The second question, the Jaipur food technology. For this answer, you can come to page 48 of your textbooks where the public health uh, subtopic is given, and under it they have spoken about the invention of the Jaipur food technology and how it has transformed the lives of the many disabled people in India by giving them opportunities to go cycling, work in the fields, climb trees, etc. So all these points you can include on the Jaipur food technology. Let us come to the third question, urbanization. For this answer, you can come to page 49 of your textbook, and in that you can write down as to what is urbanization and what is happening or why is the urban population increasing more and more. Moving on to the fourth question, the changing economic life. For this question, you can write about what changes do we see in the economic life of the villages earlier and today what the villages are doing and what the urban areas are doing. So the economic life of the entire Indian society, be it rural or urban, you have to mention over here. Moving on to the next question, answer the following in 25 to 30 words. First question, what kinds of discrimination does the Constitution prohibit? For this question, you can come to page 47 of your textbooks and you can write down that the Constitution uh, uh, agrees that we cannot discriminate on the basis of religion, race, caste, gender, place of birth, etc. And it further on goes on to say what other freedom it is giving. So you can mention those points there. Next question, what is the aim of the social welfare program? Again, for this question, you can come to page 48 of your textbook, and in the paragraph of social welfare, you can write down what is the aim that of the social welfare programs, and what are the different opportunities that the social welfare schemes wants to make available to the people. The third question, what are the challenges facing rural development? For this question, children, for answer, you have to come to page 50 of your textbook, and where they are talking about the rural development paragraph, where they are talking about the three major challenges that are there, and which will help the rural society to gain better development. With this, we come to an end of the questions and answers. In this way, in this lesson, we have seen that overcoming the obstacles at the beginning of the post independence period, India began to develop and make progress. In the further chapters, we shall learn more about the developments in other fields. Till then, happy learning.